Does it matter where you get married? New figures show only 1 in 3 couples now get married in a church. The law changed back in 1994 to allow weddings to take place in a wider variety of places, like hotels, stately homes, even football clubs. And since then, the proportion of services taking place in churches has dropped to its lowest level since records began. I'd like to hear from you. Did you get married in a church, or did you choose somewhere else? And what influenced your decision? Have we devalued marriage by allowing ceremonies to take place at Arsenal's Emirates Stadium, Battersea Power Station, Pinewood Film Studios? Does it matter if you don't invite God to your special day? You can have your say by calling the usual number 03459 811111 or email julia@bbc.co.uk. So until 1994, you were restricted to a ceremony at your church or registry office, and I wonder what sort of wedding you've been to since then. Pippa Binham is a wedding planner. Do you get clients still wanting to get married in church, or broadly speaking, do people want to do it in some different location these days?
Well, I think the split is probably about 70% of people no longer wanting to get married in a church now. So of my couples, I'd say only about 30% now do. I think that's probably a reflection of the more secular society that we now find ourselves in. People have greater choice, obviously, in their location of wedding reception, and they're choosing instead to get married in ceremonies at registered premises instead, licensed premises such as castles and stately homes and hotels instead, I think.
What is the most unusual location you've ever been to, either a wedding you organised or one that at which you were a guest?
Well, in terms of the most strange location, I would have to say is probably under a very large tree. That was a couple of years ago, and the couple had this beautiful old oak tree, 500 years old, in their garden, and decided to marry under it because of the power that tree held for them, and it being there for such a long time, they could really resonate with the length of its existence, and that meant a lot to them.
Did they have to have their garden licensed in order?
No, not at all. They chose to have a blessing. So instead of having a legal civil ceremony, they had a blessing with a minister as one of their friends, just saying vows that were personal to them.
Yeah, but that's not a wedding, is it? That's not a proper ceremony. I'm not denigrating it, because I had a blessing as well as a ceremony. But,
absolutely.
But am I right in saying, in terms of actual ceremonies, you still can't do them outdoors, can you?
Absolutely, that's correct. What has been allowed for now in the law is for people to get married in gazebos and those kind of things, so long as there's an actual structure with a concrete base that can fit the couple and the registrar. That's now classed as something which is licensable. However, it has to be under a cover. So that's kind of the way that the law has gone. But no, the law has changed in 1995 to only allow it to be undercover.
It's interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people who, and I certainly did, had a civil service in a hotel and then went on to have a blessing subsequently, that those of us who don't have God on our special day, we want him in some way part of the blessing afterwards is quite common, isn't it?
No, well, I think very few people choose to do the blessing. It's becoming increasingly popular, absolutely. I myself did a blessing, but mine was for reasons of cost, because obviously a registry office license itself is not that expensive. It's somewhere around £70. But to have a blessing afterwards means so much more, because you're saying your own vows, and it's much more personal to you as a couple. If we're talking about people having God as part of their day, some people do choose to do that, and about around 30% do, but most of those people will get married just in a plain church. And the minister can choose to marry outside or elsewhere if they want to, and they agree to it. But again, that has to be a compromise between the minister and the couple. So it can be a religious ceremony and elsewhere other than a church, but you tend to find that it is a church where it would happen.
Pippa, do you think there's something missing when you go to a civil ceremony?
I wouldn't say so, because I think that love connection is still there, and really, for a good marriage, that is what is vital, obviously. I mean, from a perspective of marriage and the church, it was always there to obviously create a special bond and acknowledge that between two people in front of their friends. And a civil ceremony, albeit not in front of God, does still do that. What will be interesting to see, I think, over the coming years is, because of the legalisation of gay marriage, whether actually we do see a rise in weddings happening increasingly in churches for couples who haven't previously been able to marry but now can. So it may be interesting to see over the coming years whether that changes things.
Really nice to talk to you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reverend David Green and Pippa Binham, who is a wedding planner. Where have you been to a wedding? Somewhere unusual? Does it feel like there's something missing when it doesn't happen in church? 03459 81 1111.